Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're getting into the world of pumps.
Pumps.
Yeah, those essential machines, keeping our homes running smoothly, keeping industries going.
Absolutely.
We've got a whole bunch of research articles, reports all about pumps,
Wow.
and we're gonna really try and break down the differences between three main types:
Okay.
single stage and suction pumps, multi-stage pumps, and then slurry pumps.
Sounds good.
By the end of this, you'll be able to pick the perfect pump for whatever you need it for.
It's interesting how often we just completely take pumps for granted.
Yeah.
Like we just expect water to come out of the tap or wastewater to disappear.
Right.
But none of that would be possible without these incredible machines.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's just like any other tool, you need the right pump for the job.
Right.
You wouldn't use a hammer to try and screw in a light bulb, right?
Exactly.
Same with pumps. So let's start with kind of the workhorse, the single stage end suction pump.
Yeah, these are the ones you see everywhere, just reliable and straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
So inside the pump, there's this fan blade called an impeller.
Okay.
And when it spins, it sucks fluid in on one side and pushes it out the other with more pressure.
Got it.
And single stage just means there's one impeller doing all the work.
So one impeller, one stage, moving fluids, simple enough. What kind of fluids are we talking about here?
These pumps are best with low viscosity fluids,
Low viscosity.
meaning liquids that flow really easily like water
Okay.
or light oils. Think of it this way, like honey.
Yeah.
Honey has a high viscosity. It's thick and sticky,
Right.
but water has a low viscosity.
It moves quickly.
Exactly.
So single stage pumps, they're good for like basic water needs. But what if you need to move water uphill or over a long distance?
That's when a single stage pump might not be enough.
Okay.
Like imagine trying to water a garden on a steep hill.
Right.
You need more power to push that water up.
You would.
And that's where you'd want to look at a multi-stage pump.
Multi-stage meaning multiple impellers.
You got it. Instead of just one impeller multi-stage pumps, have several of them all stacked together.
Oh.
And each impeller increases the pressure of the fluid a bit more.
Huh. Interesting. So it's like a chain of impellers working together.
Yeah. Like a relay race where each runner passes the baton.
I like that analogy. So where would you actually see these multi-stage pumps out in the wild?
Well, think about skyscrapers.
Okay.
To get water to all those floors, you need a ton of pressure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You wouldn't use a single stage pump for that.
Right.
Multi-stage pumps are what you need to make sure the water reaches every faucet and toilet and shower.
So they're the real heavy lifters.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have the everyday single stage and then the powerful multi-stage. But what about when the fluid itself is the challenge?
You're talking about the thick stuff.
Yeah.
The gritty mixtures that would clog up a regular pump right away.
Exactly.
For that, you need a slurry pump.
Slurry pump. Those sound intense.
They are. They're built super tough.
What makes them so different?
Well, they have these reinforced casings
Okay.
and heavy-duty impellers.
To handle the tough stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes they even have special rubber linings to protect them from all the abrasive materials.
So they're meant for like mud, sand, gravel,
Yeah.
even things like mining waste.
Exactly. Slurry pumps are essential in industries like mining dredging and wastewater treatment.
Where it's more like thick soup than a normal liquid.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, this is all fascinating. But I'm thinking, if the multi-stage pumps are more powerful, why not just use those for everything?
Well, it goes back to that idea of using the right tool for the job.
Right.
You wouldn't use a chainsaw to trim a little hedge, would you?
Good point. So how do you figure out which pump is best for a specific situation?
You really need to understand the little details of each type.
Okay.
It's like anything else. The more you learn about it, the better decisions you can make.
Makes sense. And you might be surprised how often this knowledge comes in handy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even in everyday situations.
I'm ready to get into some real-world examples now.
Me too. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Let's get practical. Okay, so let's get into some real-world applications for these different pump types.
Yeah, let's make this practical.
Can you walk me through like a scenario where each pump type would really be the ideal choice?
Sure. Let's start simple. Imagine you're setting up an irrigation system for your garden.
All right, I'm with you.
Yeah,
So I've got my tomatoes, my peppers all lined up, ready for some water.
perfect. In that case, a single-stage end suction pump would be your go-to.
Makes sense.
It's affordable, easy to set up, and can handle the water pressure you need for sprinklers or drip lines.
So that takes care of basic watering. But what if my garden's on a hill? Would a single stage pump still work?
That's where it gets a little trickier.
Okay.
A single-stage pump might struggle to push the water uphill against gravity.
Right.
You need more pressure, and that's where a multi-stage pump comes in.
So the multiple impellers give it that extra boost.
Exactly. Each impeller adds a little more pressure so the water can reach those higher spots.
Got it. So multi-stage pumps are good for hills.
Yeah.
What about situations where you need just like massive amounts of pressure?
Big skyscrapers.
Oh, wow.
Getting water to all those floors requires a huge amount of pressure.
Definitely wouldn't want a weak pump for that.
You got it. You need a multi-stage pump to make sure every apartment has water.
They're the real powerhouses.
We are.
Okay, let's switch gears completely now. What about those really tough jobs, like in mining or wastewater treatment?
Now you're talking about the hard stuff.
Yeah, when the fluid itself is a challenge.
Exactly. In those situations, you're dealing with really abrasive slurries.
Slurries?
Yeah, it's like a mix of liquids and solids that would destroy a normal pump.
Oh, wow.
That's where slurry pumps come in.
They sound tough.
They are. They have those reinforced casings and heavy-duty impellers we talked about.
Right.
They can move things like mud, sand, gravel, even corrosive chemicals.
So it's not just pressure, but the pump has to be able to withstand those materials.
Exactly. A slurry pump is built for the long haul.
It's amazing how each pump type has its own specialty.
It is.
From a simple garden to a huge mining operation.
Yeah, it all depends on the application.
And I'm realizing now that choosing the wrong pump could be a big problem.
You're right. It can be.
What are some of the things that could go wrong?
It could be minor or it could be a major headache.
Right.
Like, let's say you decide to get one of those fancy rain shower heads,
Oh, yeah.
but you don't think about your current pump's capacity.
So I'm imagining a trickle of water instead of a nice, relaxing shower.
Exactly. If your pump isn't designed for that much water flow, you'll have weak pressure.
So even a simple upgrade like that can involve some pump knowledge.
It can.
Now let's think bigger picture. What if a factory tries to save money by using a single-stage pump for something heavy-duty?
Like moving thick chemicals.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for disaster.
What could happen?
Well, that single-stage pump wouldn't be able to handle it. It could get clogged, overheat, and break down completely.
And that means production stops, repairs get expensive, maybe even safety hazards?
Exactly. You need to think about the fluid's viscosity, how abrasive it is, even its temperature.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Nope. Choosing the right pump is crucial.
Okay, that's definitely sinking in now. Matching the pump to the job is important.
It is. It's about efficiency, safety, and avoiding those expensive repairs.
This is great information for our listeners,
I hope so.
whether they're working on a project at home or dealing with complex systems at work.
Right. Knowing about pumps can help you make good decisions.
And avoid some costly mistakes.
Absolutely.
So we've covered a lot about the different pumps.
Yeah, we have.
What they're good for, what can go wrong.
It's all about understanding the strengths and weaknesses of each type,
Right.
and then using that knowledge to choose the best pump for the job.
Well said. Now let's talk about what happens when things go wrong.
The pump mishaps.
Yeah, those inevitable moments when things don't go as planned.
It happens, but understanding what can go wrong can help us avoid those problems in the first place.
I'm ready for some cautionary tales.
All right, let's dive in.
All right, so we've talked about the different types of pumps, what they're good for.
Right.
But what about when things don't go right?
The pump mishaps.
What happens when you choose the wrong pump for the job?
Well, it can be a minor annoyance or a major problem.
Okay,
It all depends on the situation.
so give me an example.
Okay, let's say you decide to upgrade your shower head to one of those fancy rain shower heads,
Oh, yeah, I've seen those.
but you don't consider the capacity of your existing pump.
I'm picturing a trickle of water instead of that luxurious downpour.
Exactly. If your pump isn't powerful enough, you won't get the water pressure you need.
So you end up with a disappointing shower.
Pretty much.
So even
Well-
something as simple as changing a shower head, you got to think about the pump.
You do. Now let's think bigger picture. Imagine a factory trying to save money.
Okay.
They decide to use a single-stage pump to move some really thick, viscous chemicals.
Instead of the slurry pump.
Right. That could be a huge mistake.
What could happen?
Well, that single-stage pump is not designed for those kinds of fluids.
What?
It could get clogged, overheat, and eventually just break down.
Wow, so we're talking production delays, costly repairs, maybe even safety issues?
Exactly. You need the right pump for the job.
Makes sense. So you have to consider not just what you're pumping, but also things like viscosity, how abrasive it is, even the temperature.
It's all connected.
It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Exactly. It just won't work. And those mismatches can happen anywhere. Think about using a multi-stage pump in a dredging operation.
With all that sand and gravel?
Yeah, that would be bad. Those abrasive particles would quickly destroy the pump.
So the wrong pump can lead to disaster.
It can, and it can get expensive.
Okay, I think I'm getting the message. Choosing the right pump is crucial.
It is. It's about efficiency, safety, and saving money in the long run.
Well said. So I think our listeners are getting a good understanding of the importance of pumps,
I hope so.
whether they're at home working on a project or in an industrial setting.
It's all about understanding the basics and making informed decisions.
Absolutely. We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have
From the different types of pumps
single-stage, multi-stage slurry.
to the potential problems of choosing the wrong one.
Right. Hopefully everyone's learned something new.
I think so. And maybe even gained a new appreciation for those pumps working behind the scenes all around us.
Absolutely.
So the next time you see a pump, whether it's watering your garden or filling your washing machine, take a moment to think about the engineering behind it.
Yeah. Those pumps are doing a lot of important work.
Well said. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the world of pumps.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has. But before we go, we want to leave you with something to think about.
A little food for thought.
If you could design the ultimate pump one that could handle anything, what would it look like?
Let your imagination run wild.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those pumps pumping.
And as always, thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.